For all things outdoors, listen to the father of two, the Jesus-loving, TV show hosting, hairy, true-blood American redneck, Ben Cole.
And listen to the outdoor filming, chef cooking, chocolate milk drinking, John Weissmuller. We are
Rooted Podcast. All right, Ben, we're getting into deer season here. And you know what that means. We have to take our scent control to the max. We have to be the most serious people on this planet. Maybe. I know you are actually the most, the least rather serious scent control deer hunter that I personally know. And by the way, still consistently kill good deer everywhere we go. So, you know, maybe we don't have to take it as serious as we think. What do you think there?
Man, I think you should always consider that. But for me, I'm just not as serious on it because, man, I just like hunting. I just like being in the woods, and for me, if you have to worry so much about every little tiny thing, what's the point? I want to be able to just go sit out in the woods and enjoy it with you, with my family, with my brothers. That's what I want to do, man. And like you said, we have been all over the country and killed a lot of deer together and never once used scent control. I mean, man, I remember the time in Oklahoma. Dude, I smelled awful. It was so hot on that trip. And the sweat.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, it just smelled like a high school locker room in that blind, It was terrible.
Yeah. Listen, whenever you get three bearded rednecks in one hot, confined space, it can get pretty rauch in there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it definitely does that. But, we still killed that buck. And that was a really mature deer. He was a 6-year-old buck. Still killed him. But let's look at all the sides. Let's look at all the avenues, the angles. So, in your mind, what is scent control?
So, a few things that can go into this, right? The number one thing that you have to do, and now, I'm more specifically talking about whitetail deer hunting. So, as all of us know, deer have crazy good noses. Their nose is a million times better than mine will ever be. So, keeping that in mind, you always have to play the wind. And what do I mean by that? What I'm saying is, if you have a deer that beds, let's just say you have a property and the deer beds in the southeastern part of the property. Okay. If you have a stand that's positioned above it and the wind is blowing right into that area where that deer is, maybe not the best idea in the world to sit there that day. Right. But if the wind's in your favor, right, not totally blowing where you pretty much know he is, probably an optimal opportunity to hunt that deer. Now, so that's part of what scent control is, right? Is playing the wind. And then, of course, if you're hunting like on a ridge or big mountains here, like we have in Tennessee, the rising thermals in the morning, the falling thermals at night also go into effect. But I think for the most part, scent control is just really using the natural factors to your advantage. And maybe you don't always have to deep dive into all this spray and washing and all the plugins and the truck, cigarette lighter plug-in, and I mean all that jazz, which there's nothing wrong with, and I've done it and still have those products, but more often than not, just doing the natural scent control, that's the way to go.
So some of the scent control methods that I have seen over the years is, of course, you have the spray bottle, right? That has the reduction of human scent because it kills the bacteria that makes the scent. and you spread all over your clothes, blah, 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 spread all over yourself, soak yourself down, and then you sweat. And then you got to do it all over again. Man, I mean, dude, I sweat in January. I'm always sweating. But, you know, I think that is what the conventional form of scent control is, maybe, is using the squirt bottle. Now, one thing I've always used is wherever I'm hunting, let's say I'm hunting in a pine thicket, I'll go and grab a handful of pine needles and wad them up and then rub them on my suit, because that is just natural to what is there, to what is right there in that environment at that time. Now, another thing that you can do is they have these things, the ozone makers that you can put in there with you. I don't know if that's a popular thing or not. We don't really use much of that. That's just one other option that you can use, like you were touching on earlier, is you can even put your clothes and do all the ozone in like the closet that you have, and you still get busted by deer sometimes.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, like I can do my little closet that has a plug-in, scent killer in it. I have a portable little scent crusher thing, right, that hangs in my blind. I can run all this stuff. I can spray. I can wash my clothes. I can take the shower with the body wash, all that jazz. And what I've come to notice is it's not that it doesn't work. I'm not going to say like it is 100% defective, because it's not. I've had it hunts where I'm like, man, the wind was kind of blowing at that deer, and that deer had no idea I was there. So, I'm not saying it doesn't work, but I've also done all that, and the wind is blowing right at this old nanny doe, and she does the old stomping of that front leg when you know it.
You
This
better
is
pull the
not
trigger
good.
immediately.
Yeah, I mean, because she's fixing the blow. So, I've had both instances, so I just don't think it's this foolproof way of like, if I spray this bottle, that deer cannot smell me. I don't think that that's 100% the case.
Well, I think it also has a lot to do with the time of year, right? So when they're in the rut, they're less likely to care about your scent. A buck is far less likely to care about anything other than chasing that doe during that time of the year. So that's one thing to consider as well. But man, I also want to tell a story real quick. Talking about the spit and dip on a deer. I have done that more than once. There was a time in my life where I dipped a lot. I mean, 2 cans a day. And, everybody kept telling me, oh, you're going to scare them deer by spitting on the ground. You're going to scare them deer. I ain't never scared a deer from spitting dip on the ground. There's, in fact, this one spike that walked right up under my stand, and I leaned out over the platform, and I let out a little spittle right on his back, and he just looked around like, what was that? Oh, didn't even know.
Probably thought it was rain.
That old Copenhagen wintergreen. It had a smell, and man, he never paid no attention to it. In fact, there was another instance where this particular deer walked up and sniffed the spit pile on the ground and didn't even run. They didn't go anywhere. They just kept on about their business. I mean, it was another young buck, and maybe they're just curious and dumb like I was when I was young. Probably still am a little dumb, but but well, man, I think.
No, I was just gonna whenever you were telling that story, it just reminded me of this. There's this old dude, in the neighborhood. I know, obviously, like just an old timey deer hunter, Mr. Phillip. This guy, I mean, chain smoker, dude. Like, I mean, that dude, there wasn't enough cigarettes in the day for that guy to fit in,
Yeah.
And that guy has killed so many big deer. And I always used to ask him whenever, I'm like, man, how did that deer not smell you? And he's just like, That deer doesn't care about that smoke. That dude has killed more big deer smoking a cigarette than I've ever have with any sort of, control. And this is a little off topic, but I've always wondered if this correlates somehow. So when you're muzzleloader hunting, I've had plenty of times where there's a group of deer out in a field or an opening or whatever, right? And I shoot the deer. I shoot a deer. Obviously muzzleloader, a bunch of smoke happens, and all those other deer just stand there. Like the smoke just confuses them, and they don't know what's. I wonder if like that little puff of smoke, like from a cigarette or something, confuses them. Like I wonder if it's the same. I really don't know, and I know that's a little off topic from the scent control, but it just reminded me. Your story just reminded me of Mr. Phillip and shooting big deer while he's smoking. I do not recommend you smoke cigarettes while you deer hunt or at all, but it worked for Mr. Phillip. So
yeah, we're not condoning the use of tobacco in the deer woods.
No, I would not do that.
You don't have
I'm just
to
saying,
dip or smoke or anything like that. It sounds like I've been smoking for 80 years right now. I apologize to everybody listening. I have been dealing with a cough for the past couple of days, and it has torn my throat up. So, but man, on that same topic, I know a lot of people who kill deer consistently with a cigarette or 5 hanging out of their jaw. It just doesn't affect the deer. And I just wonder what scent actually does affect a deer. Is there a certain kind that we produce? Is there a certain smell? I mean, I don't know what the answer to that is.
I mean, I don't either, but I also think that potentially what happens is in the off season, right, when we're checking trail cams and we're, cutting shooting lanes and hanging stands and putting out minerals and yada yada. Maybe we don't take scent control as important as we should. And what I mean by that is, I don't mean spraying down and all this and that, but maybe we go to the gas station and then straight to the woods. Maybe we go from eating a Big Mac and then going straight to the woods, and we're carrying all these different human scents, and then we bring that in during deer season, and they associate that smell with the smell from just a few short months ago, and they know it's not animal.
That's a good point, but I'm going to mention this. I just had this thought that came through my head. Basically, I think I've figured it out, but I could be wrong. So we spend all this time in the summer, right? Planting food plots, putting out minerals, checking trail cams, all that stuff all the time. Sure. And then as soon as hunting season happens, everybody freaks out. And it's like, oh, you can't go in the woods. That big buck's going to be gone. But you've been in there every single week, all summer long and all spring long, and that buck's still on camera. And then you slip out and you don't go back in there for months or weeks or whatever. And then they're like, oh, well, they're gone now. They're not used to your smell anymore. They're not used to you being there. They're not used to the sound of your side-by-side. It's like for us in Tennessee, we can't bait, but we can put minerals out. And by minerals, I mean pure salt or trace minerals, correct? That is the law, right?
Yeah. Yep. That's right.
Yeah. So what I would do is if you're going to go and boot stomp through the woods, take a little thing of pure white mineral, or salt, just some pure old salt, and go freshen up your mineral sites with just some old salt. At least that is giving you something for those deer to realize, hey, when I hear this, when I see that, this is what is happening. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah.
I just think that if you let them associate, because they're not stupid. I mean, they're not stupid creatures, man. I mean, they can smell 500 times what we can smell, and they can see a whole lot further than we can see, and just everything that they can do is a whole lot better than we can. But we have to figure out a way to get in and out, kill these big bucks without pushing them to the next county. And that's another issue that comes along with the territory of just running in and out of a stand, particularly in a stand. If you're sitting in one place and that vehicle's not coming and going like they're used to, that's when they're going to start realizing, hey, that scent's not left. That smell has not left, and we're about to blow. And that's when you crank out that old rifle right out that window. And as soon as that doe stops, drop her. She goes to blow and she gets dropped.
Yeah.
That's how that works at our farms anyway. Yep. Ain't that right?
Yeah, exactly right. If she blows, she goes. You know what I'm saying?
Straight down. Night.
See you later, pal. Yep.
Yeah.
I was going to let you live, and then you decided to be a dummy, so take that for you.
Yeah, you decided to blow, so we had to call it quits.
But I will say this. Do I think that you can just go willy-nilly and, from the gas station and smelling like all this crap into the woods? I personally think that, obviously you can do that if you want to. I just think that it helps you if you don't. It helps you if you're smart about it, right? Like, you don't just put your hunting clothes with, all your wife's frou-frou smelling pods. And I mean, dude, I've got more laundry stuff now that I live with my fiance, soon to be wife.
Oh yeah,
than I ever have seen. I didn't even know half this stuff. I had no idea that this stuff was even a thing. But yes.
This weekend,
I do get married.
You are getting all right, everybody. John is getting married this weekend. It's going down. I'm heading up Thursday. We're gonna pheasant hunt on Friday, hang out, do a bunch of bro stuff. Heck, we may even slip in a deer hunt. And don't tell anybody.
Just might.
You just never know about us two hooligans. You never know what we're going to get into. But I do know one thing. We are going to get you married. And we are going to do it in the presence of the good Lord. That is for certain.
That's right.
And I am so thankful
that is a fact.
That you wanted me to be a part of y'all's special day, and I appreciate that, man. I am very, very excited for you. Heck, I remember the first time you told me about Mags, because I specifically told you, do not tell me another girlfriend's name until they're serious, until it's real.
Oh, yeah.
And then you told me Maggie's name, and I remember it specifically. Where were we even coming from? Because I remember you told me on the way back from a trip. Was it Texas?
Yeah, there is no telling. Yeah, probably. I mean,
and I remember you told me her name, and I looked, I was like, you just tell me a girl's name. What's that all about? Well, man, I like her a whole lot.
Yeah, exactly.
And he was like, man, she's real nice.
Yeah,
she's real kind. And, you went in to tell me about how she treated you. And I thought, this may be the one. In fact, I think I told you, I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I told you after, I don't know if it was after I met her or after, it was some trip we were going somewhere, and she had called you. And after that conversation, I looked at you, I said, I believe you're going to marry that girl. And
yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, probably. And here we are, getting you married this weekend. But dude, I hate to go off the rabbit hole here of the scent control, but I'm real excited about this pheasant hunt. I ain't even gonna lie to you.
Dude, hey, listen, that's the one great thing about bird hunting. Whether it's turkeys, whether it's pheasant, whether it's ducks,
geese.
Guess what, folks? They don't care how you smell.
No.
It's pretty great.
No, they don't.
You go in there drinking coffee and hot chocolate and smelling like a bunch of, big dummies, and we absolutely hammer the birds.
Yeah, so, I get this. I don't know if it's even a real question, but what do you think about ripping farts in the deer stand?
Oh man. You know, I used to think about that kind of stuff like I gotta hold this in, or like, man, I can't, take a whiz off the side of the stand or any of that kind of stuff. And now it's like, let her rip, dude. Like
Yeah.
that deer doesn't care. If
Mm-mm.
anything, during the certain time of the year, it may help you because it sounds like a good butt grunt if you do it just right and get the angle down. Oh my!
Oh
You
man.
might just burn, and that deer may come running in, man.
Hey, listen, I don't think that there's an animal on the face of this earth that don't fart. And I'm just being real. I know it's kind of crude and all that stuff, but I seriously
Yeah,
believe that every creature passes gas. I really do. So I don't think there's
I'm with
nothing
you, man. Yeah.
unnatural about it,
Oh,
So I mean, obviously it's gonna smell bad. I mean, come on, it comes from the gut. Man, people are gonna listen to this and be like, "Oh, these people, they're just children.
bye.
They're just 12-year-olds."
Oh yeah, this is the this is the worst hunting podcast, but it's awesome all at the same time.
Yeah, well, I am a
That's what people are
12-year-old.
gonna think.
I have a good time though.
Yeah, I'm all about it. Hey, listen, I'm sorry we like to have fun. Sue me.
Yeah, that's right. That's why I make a better duck hunter, John, because in duck hunting I don't have to worry about, all the scent control and all that stuff. But I have a question for you. And I have been
Yeah, man.
really curious about this. So, do you think that drinking a soda in the tree stand would affect that whole scent control thing? Do you think it would make a big buck slip away?
No, not really. Because whether it's soda, coffee, whatever, any sort of flavored, whatever. No, I really don't, because a lot of the times, you're just opening it up, and then it goes in your mouth and it gets closed. Like I don't think a lemon lime, whatever, or a Coca-Cola is gonna do anything that tremendous. I just don't think it's strong enough to
I got
affect
you.
anything.
Yeah, I was just curious,
What about you, man?
because
Do you think?
I don't really care. I'm going to drink one anyway. So,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, it's you know, I can't tell you how many times you've drinking Coca-Cola or a Legend energy drink or
yes, dude,
anything like
those
that, and
dude.
we've still shot deer. I mean,
Speaking about energy drinks, man, Legend is phenomenal. I absolutely love their energy drinks, and it's because and they don't sponsor this podcast. It's just they're good friends of ours, and it's really good.
mm-mm.
And
Yeah.
I tried it at the World Deer Expo, and it was just, man, it was smooth. It was so smooth, and the flavor was phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
And the best part is there was no crash. Like most energy drinks, you'll
Oh,
drink
nice.
it and then you're just dead at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. There was no crash on this one. But I will say that aside from the drink actually being phenomenal, the people behind Legend are just as awesome to be around. Jason Green, man, he is a phenomenal human. I mean, he's just a great dude, and he's been really good to the
Mm.
show and the television show, and just been a good friend. And they now Legend does sponsor the television show, but they have not taken the dive into the podcast yet. So I think they will, though, when
Yeah,
they hear us giving props out over here.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, so the bottom line is, I don't think you drinking something in the stand's going to affect anything. I think drinking in the stand or the blind, whatever, I think you more so have to worry about the sound, right? Whether it's, like this bottle of water, right? You're crinkling,
Yeah,
or
the
it's,
crinkle.
the little, psh of the soda, or the
Yeah.
crack of the can. So like the actual sound and then the actual movement,
Mm-hmm.
like of you taking a drink, I think that those two things you have to worry about more than the scent part as far as the drink part's concerned. But yeah, I just don't think it's that big of a deal.
Oh, I think everything you've said is pretty accurate because I do think you need to worry about your scent. If you are a really hardcore deer hunter, I'm not. I'm just not a hardcore deer hunter. So don't take my advice and hunt like I hunt because I'm not your conventional deer hunter, man. I'm not one of those dudes that,
Mm-mm.
go out and I don't buy the scent lock or whatever it is that keeps your scent from. Man, I don't even really know a whole lot about it other than the fact that I have killed a whole lot of deer in a pair of loafers with tassels on them, smelling like work. I have.
Yeah.
I've killed a pile of deer. I mean, a pile of them in a red flannel.
Yeah. Well, Fred, I think Fred Bear put it best, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he essentially just said, sit down and hush. That's the best form of camouflage, and I promise you, Fred Bear wasn't spraying down with and washing his clothes and all this scent control stuff. I promise you, he was not doing that. So,
No.
And neither were all the Indians and all that kind of jazz. So,
And hey, the Native Americans,
I just
they're phenomenal hunters.
yeah.
And that's how they lived.
Yeah.
That's their food source,
Yeah. They were pretty decent at it, I would say.
Yeah,
That whole hunting thing.
I would say they were pretty solid at it. And then, the old Americans, what we are now, came in and they done killed all the buffalo and really ruined it for everybody for a long time. So, yeah, maybe scent control is good. Maybe everybody just don't wear scent control, so that way they can smell you and they have a better chance of living until gun season. And then it's over. And then it's all over.
That's right.
Yeah,
because man, the thing for me is like I wouldn't take it not serious. For me, like I do like to wash my clothes in it. I do like to not just be a fool and get gas on my boots and all that kind of jazz, but I'm not super serious hardcore with it either. So I think there's a healthy balance there, and I think it all starts with using the natural elements first: the wind direction, the thermals, your setup, and then you can dive into this scent control products world. I will say the hardest thing for me as far as scent control goes was we were started to touch on this earlier was teaching my soon-to-be wife about how I did not want all her fancy little scent beads and frou-frou softeners and all that stuff on my hunting material. I had to explain to her that there is now this new thing in the pantry called, scent control laundry detergent, and it's here to stay.
Yes. Yeah, dude, you got to do the scent control laundry detergent or use the Fresh Earth, so you can smell like fresh plowed dirt.
Yeah, exactly. Because there's nothing wrong with those little like scent wafer things. You know what I'm talking about? That you like hang on a limb or something that smell literally like dirt. We actually have friends. We've talked about him earlier. Sean Templeton, the barber who got us together, he has products that literally smell like earth. I mean, so my point being is like, you could just literally before you climb your tree, pick up leaves and dirt and just go, rub it on you and be like, all right, cool. and climb up. I mean,
So one thing about Sean,
it's just a cover scent more than anything.
Yeah. So one thing about Sean that I will say, he has a really good idea. So his scent spray that he makes actually sticks to you, and it doesn't just go away after 10 minutes or whatever. Because man, I am a huge fan of the earth scent or cedar or whatever I'm hunting close to that day. But earth scent, man, I love smelling like fresh plowed soil. Love it. And his stuff, man, it really sticks to you. I don't know what his formulation is. I don't know what he's got going on with that, but I'm telling you, it absolutely hangs out and hangs around for a long time.
Yeah, and he's got all sorts of beard oils too for the men out there. I mean, he's got all sorts of stuff that just
he's taken care of my beard
works.
more than once. In fact, he is the only human that I will let shave the sides of my beard, straighten it up. That is it. Other than that, nobody touches my hair or my beard. It's like Samson. I can't let Delilah get a hold of that hair.
It's bad news if someone gets a hold of those locks.
Dude, the hair's got to stay. It's got to stay for him.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, man. Absolutely.
But nonetheless, I think what our point is here is that you need to just get out and hunt. Don't be so worried about what everybody else is saying. Formulate your own opinions. Trial and error. That's what we've done is trial and error. We figured out what works for us as a team, and we roll with it. We just stick with it because not every person is going to have the same experience as the next guy. You're always going to have to find your own little section, your own little routine and technique that works best for you and what you're trying to hunt. Like for me and ducks, I don't give a crap about scent control. I'm cooking bacon and eggs in the blind. But deer, you can't do that. And I'm over there like in the kitchen in the morning at deer camp like, oh, hey, guys, look, I got a biscuit. Everybody's like, you're going to hunt like that? I was like, yeah, I plan on it. I mean,
yeah, that's the idea.
Yeah, but, I don't know, man. I think you have to formulate your own opinion. I think you have to figure out what works best in your situation, especially with the wind and the thermals. I think playing the wind and the thermals is going to be your best friend. I don't care how much you spray down. I don't care how much you wash your clothes. If you don't work the wind and the thermals right, you're going to get busted every single time. Every time.
Yeah, it's definitely just more in your favor if you just work with nature and not against it.
Yeah, of course, man. And I think, so here's a tip for all these young hunters out there. Do the research and figure out what is the predominant wind on the farm that you're hunting, whether that be public land or what. Just figure out the predominant wind from September through the end of January. Figure out what that is and set your tree stand up accordingly to that historical data. Now, is it going to blow that way every day? No. Let's be realistic. It's not going to, because you're going to have a hard north wind. It's going to get cold, and then a south wind's going to blow it right out of there, 4 days later. So what I'm getting at is, if you know the history and know that predominant wind, you can at least hedge your bet on being accurate most of the time. And you can hunt more and maybe have a different set, a different location that is in the same area just across the field for maybe a north wind versus a south wind or east, west, whatever that predominant wind is. I think that's what you have to really focus on is that.
And I will add this, and listen, I totally get not everyone may be able to get this or has the luxury of being able to get this item that I'm fixing to mention, but and maybe now they can because they actually just came out with a little cheaper version. But my WiseEye camera, right, whenever it takes a picture of a deer, gives me the wind and a bunch of other awesome data that I can use and, puts it into a graph. But I can go on my hunt control app, right, pick my whatever Eye camera that's on there, and literally I can make it give me a graph based on wind direction.
Right.
And then you have all this data that says, hey, on a southeast wind, you have your most pictures of this buck or whatever. And then there you go. You know that on a southeast wind that this deer comes in this direction. I need to set up this direction, and boom, you're ready to rock and roll.
I think that's a really good point that you bring up, because you can also tag the buck that you're chasing. You can name all of them on the Wise Eye system. And buddy, we have had those Wise Eyes out all over the country for years. How many years has that one been in Oklahoma? 4 years now? And we haven't touched it.
Yeah, 3, I think.
We had one issue with the wire that goes from the solar panel to the actual camera, but that was because a hog had brushed up against it and just unplugged it. Simply just unplugged it. That's all it was. And other than that, we have not had a single issue out of any of the cameras that have been out for several years now. And one thing that I really like is it uses the weather data of the specific location of that camera. It's not your local weather, your national weather. It's not any of that stuff, your county. It's the exact location of that camera. It's where all the data is pulled together and made into charts for you. So like us, I know some people are like, oh, well, that's cheating. That's not good. But you know what? I don't care. I can't physically go hunt and scout all the acres that we can hunt in a year's time. There's just no way. And for us to be able to produce this podcast, produce a TV show, do all that stuff, we have to have the very best tools in our arsenal. And guess what? Wise Eye is at the top of that list, because it is, in my opinion, the best trail cameras on the market, because they simply work. First and foremost, I mean, leaving out everything else, they just work. Simply work. And it's phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah. And it really does help you with scent control, because there are other cameras that, you may get a picture of a deer every 2 days of this one specific buck, but it just tells you like, the temperature and maybe the moon phase if you're lucky, which those things are important as well. I'm not discounting those, but on the topic of scent control, it's like, well, why is he coming on this day and not the other 2 days? Well, it may be because the wind's different.
Yeah, it very well could be.
And, that's a...
because that 6 point that I was telling you about, he hasn't come back except for at night. And he only shows up on a northwest wind. That's the only time that deer comes in is northwest wind. And we haven't had one since 3-4 nights ago, and he hadn't been there. He just dipped out. So if that don't tell you something, and that's just it,
Oh, I'm with you, because listen, I've been there as the weekend warrior where, listen, dude, you're a hardworking guy or gal, and Mimi and Papa are willing to watch the kids for this 3-hour block window, and I gotta hunt, and I get that. You gotta go. You don't care what the wind is. That's awesome. But if you have the ability to really be disciplined and not hunt that stand because the wind's not right, in the long run, that's gonna help you tremendously. If you can just be disciplined and know, like, and if you're fortunate enough to have different stands and different farms and all that.
There you go, that yawning. I'm really gonna be yawning now. Good night.
I'm telling you, man. No,
whoopsie. But no, man, I agree with you 100%. But one thing you can do also is you can do temporary sets. Like there's you can throw up a set of ladder sticks real quick and shimmy up and hang a tree stand real fast. I mean, it's not uncommon.
And that's the great part of like like a climbing stand or like a saddle that you're getting into this year. It's not like it's that difficult. I mean,
No, man, you can have a saddle set up and functional within 10 minutes. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not a hard deal. You
Ready
go
to
in
roll.
midday, throw it up, done. Or with the saddle, you can just walk up to a tree and be like, oh, that looks like a good tree. Cool story. And then you just start climbing. Put your sticks on there, start climbing your way up, set your platform, and you're ready to go. It's just that easy. There's 150 million different excuses of why you don't do this, why you don't do that. But I think if you play your wind right, you play your thermals right, and you truly study that buck and figure out which, like you said, which day he's coming and why he's coming that day. Typically speaking, a mature buck is always going to come with the wind in his face. So he can smell everything.
Yeah.
He is going to show up that way. So the best thing to do is to figure out how you can intersect his trail before he gets to your scent. That is how you do that.
Yeah.
You have to intersect him before he gets to you and your smell. And sometimes that can be pretty dang hard, as it's been proven here for the past 3 weeks now, trying to kill this whole 6-point that I have deemed pirate. He definitely whiffed me that first day, boy. He went to, or something went to blowing. I'm sure it was Odo. I thought, you just step on out here. It'll be not good.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, man.
Well, and I'll tell you this. Another thing that we do is hunt out of blinds a lot. Whether it's a cheap pop up or it's a very nice nice like box blind or a homemade one that I have, right? Whatever it is, it's like, man, having 4 walls and some windows, that can help you out a lot by keeping your scent in there and also just not letting a lot of it out.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you're going to have some that still creeps out just a little bit, right?
Yeah,
But
it's not foolproof.
no, but it's going to really reduce the amount of scent that's just willy-nilly everywhere. I mean, I think you should take the steps and try, but like I said, I'm going to drive this point home. You have to worry about your wind and your thermals. That's just it in a nutshell. You can spray down all you want to, but as soon as that sun hits you, you're going to start sweating. You're going to have to shed layers. And then, it's just like, well, there's the human scent. Boom, right there again. Because I've sweated, even just a little bit, you're still sweating. So my thing is just play that wind, do your homework, and make sure that it's in your face. I mean, you want to do, if the wind is in your face, and that's the right wind for those particular deer that you're hunting, you're gonna be a lot better off harvesting an animal than you are just doing whatever and throwing caution to the wind, if you will.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, it's basically natural elements first, and then all your other scent control products. Because, and if you want to do them all, like I have done before, it's not going to hurt. I just don't think it's going to be the end all be all. I think that's the whole point of this.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that, man. I don't think any form of scent control is the end all be all. But with that being said, I'd say we appreciate y'all listening in, tuning in to this episode of the Rooted Podcast with your boys, John Weissmuller and yours truly, the Old Hairy Redneck. Thank y'all for listening. We'll see you next time.
All right, guys, make sure you check in all the Rooted Television, like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Thanks for listening.